Welcome to Hoardganize with professional organizer Rachel Seavey. Every Sunday at 6 p.m., Rachel shares her expertise and compassionate approach to help you deal with overwhelming clutter. Rachel?
Hey, collectors! Welcome to the Hoardganize Podcast. I'm your host, professional organizer Rachel Seavey, and tonight we're continuing our discussion on the 6 human needs. The first need is for certainty, to feel like you're safe and secure. Second need is for uncertainty. We all crave variety. Third need, significance, which we discussed last week with Coach Jimmy K. The need to feel like we matter and we have meaning. And the fourth need, which we're going to discuss tonight, is the need for love and connection. We all need to feel loved and connected. A baby, an infant, studies were done on this, cannot survive without human touch and love and connection. We find love in our friends and our family and our pets. We need love. Everybody does. So how does love and connection play out in your life when it comes to your stuff? I'll tell you a story about Kathy. Kathy's home is incredibly cluttered. Let's just say she likes to shop. There's clothing hanging on the doorways, on the chairs, and stacked just in front of her packed closet. There are unopened boxes full of new product everywhere. Kathy works full-time as an attorney. She has a very busy schedule. By the time she gets home, she has no energy to clean and organize. She's absolutely exhausted, and she really just wants to spend time with her 2 cats who are indoor only. And of course, they make lots of messes while she's away at work. And, cats are really great at communicating their need for love and connection. So they throw up all over her stuff just to remind her to stay at home so that they could feel more love and connection from her. Now, on the weekends, Kathy spends countless hours organizing. Really, she's just moving things from one side of the room to the other, rearranging her clutter, or what we call churning. She gets frustrated after a few hours because it always seems like she's made more of a mess than when she started. She gets in her recliner, she goes online. Pretty soon she's online ordering more stuff that she and her cats don't need. And Kathy's miserable that her home is always a mess. This makes her suffer. She spends all of her free time trying to get things done around her house, and just things never get done. And she also doesn't want to wear or use any of her new stuff until she creates some more space. Does this sound familiar, collectors? This is all about Kathy trying to fill her need for love with stuff. And she does the same thing with her cats. She buys them all sorts of crap that she thinks they need so they feel loved. Kathy comforts herself in the evenings from working all day, being on her feet. She shops online and she buys herself things and her cats things, and it's really just an act of self-love. This is how she meets her need for love and connection with herself, with her cats, and this is also how she brings on a lot of shame and disappointment of herself. Why can't she just be organized? Why is her home always such a mess? And she just feels horrible about herself. Kathy also overeats as a way to feel loved and comforted. When her stomach's full, she feels relaxed and connected with herself. Shopping and eating are how Kathy gives herself love. But there are also ways in which she gives herself so much pain, so much shame. Love isn't just about connecting with a partner or finding your soulmate or romance. loving yourself is love, and it's a way of connecting with yourself. You know, Kathy feels like she can't date because of her home. It's such a mess. Like she's never going to feel connected with a partner because of the state of her home. And this makes her even more sad, even more depressed. And in order to make her feel good for the moment, she shops and she eats. But you know what else, collectors? I mentioned before. She is depriving herself of using her stuff until she gets organized. She's depriving of herself of meeting a man until she's organized. She's depriving her cats from the space to enjoy playing with each other, and all the sunlight that's blocked, and the windows are blocked from all the clothing hanging on the windowsills. And this form of deprivation is a form of penance. It's self-atonement. It feels like punishment. I mean, God forbid you feel good while you're living in this sort of a mess, right? So she's punishing herself for being so bad, for not being organized. She can't truly have love until she's organized. She can't enjoy anything she buys until she's organized. And it's keeping her from getting organized. Her home is cluttered with things that she's not using. And it just makes Kathy feel horribly overwhelmed. She's so unmotivated. She feels like she's tried for years to get organized. And she's trapped in a crazy 8 pattern. She goes from being angry about her situation and buying herself things so she feels loved, to feeling depressed about all of the clutter in her home. So she's angry and then she's depressed, and then she's angry and she's depressed. And it's a crazy 8 pattern. And that's actually going to be a different podcast in the future. I just want you to understand that she's stuck in a pattern to meet her need for love that's unhealthy. Buying herself things and overeating is how she's showing her self-love. And she's shutting out. She's physically creating a barrier, a metaphorical barrier. She's shutting out the possibility of anyone else loving her. And this unhealthy pattern, this crazy 8 that she's stuck in, is one of the reasons behind, or should I say beneath, all of her clutter. And now, as I've said time and time before, it's not going to be the first or the last time you ask me here why. It's not about the what, collectors. Like I said, I see all sorts of whats all the time, thousands of whats a week. It's a why. Why are you hanging on to this thing? Why are you accumulating these items? Why? Why is Kathy cluttering? Why are you cluttering? And so this is the time where I ask you to grab something to write with, just to jot down some personal notes. You're not sharing them with anyone. I'd like you to first ask yourself, and if you shop, you accumulate. I mean, whether it's free, I mean, it doesn't matter. The what doesn't matter to me. So if you shop in order to make yourself feel loved, if you're constantly accumulating things in order to make yourself feel loved, is this a real thing for you? I want you to just write this down. I mean, do you reward yourself maybe from working 60-hour weeks with a brand new blouse, even though you don't really need it? But it's a way of you show yourself some love. Do you sometimes feel depressed? And the habit of shopping just makes you feel better. It's just something about shopping, something about acquiring makes you feel better, like you're being good to yourself at that moment. I'd like to ask you if you're shutting out love from others. It could be a lover. It could be a friend. It could be an existing partner that you have. Are you shutting out love from your cats, from anyone, as a way to punish yourself from being disorganized? This can be for married collectors as well. I mean, is your stuff literally getting in between you and your partner? Also ask yourself, are you not allowing yourself to enjoy your purchases as a form of penance, like your despair? If you're unhappy, then somehow you're atoning your, sin of accumulating. Even if you're not religious, a penance, I mean, it could be a form of self-love as well. If you're feeling despair and you're punishing yourself for cluttering, then you might reward yourself a little bit later with something new. So when you forgive yourself and connect with yourself on a new level, collectors, you're going to feel so much joy. How do your belongings fill your need for love? Are you a person that feels loved when people comment on your outfit? It's kind of like we talked about last week with significance. People think you're smart because you have all these books. People think you're classy because you're always well dressed. And it brings on significance, but it also brings on a sense of self-love. And you're also getting love from people and connection from people because they're giving you compliments. And so when people think you're significant, it's based on your belongings, it kind of makes you want to continue buying new belongings, doesn't it? So ask yourself, do you use your belongings as a way to feel love? Do you feel connection with others based on the things that you own? And it's okay if you do. Just write it down so that you're aware of it. We all want to feel loved and connected. It's a human need, collectors, no judgment. I mean, a newborn will die without love and connection. But are you using your stuff as a form of self-love? Are you buying yourself things? Are you rewarding yourself things and then punishing yourself for rewarding yourself with things? I mean, that's a crazy 8 pattern right there. What I want to help you discover is how you can meet the need for love in other ways so that your home isn't cluttered and so that you're not just stuck in a crazy 8 pattern. And this is what we're going to talk about now. What other ways can you feel love and connection without cluttering, without overeating? Let's go back to Kathy. She has her cats, which many of us have pets in order to feel loved and connected. And I'm hands down someone who does this. I mean, I get a ton of love and connection with my fur babies and even my bearded dragon, believe it or not, a lot of connection, eye connection. There's a lot of love there. And I'm just incredibly in love and connected with my pets. Kathy isn't allowing herself to spend time with her pets. And she feels guilty. That's why she's always buying them things. So she knows deep down that she's kind of neglecting her kitties. And I mean, not on purpose at all. She works 60-hour work weeks and then she spends the rest of her time trying to declutter. And she feels bad about this. So she's over shopping for them too. Now, once Kathy began to understand this, which, I mean, this wasn't until we had, 4 or 5 large plastic bins of cat toys and all these different flats of high-end cat food. I mean, 20 or so cat treat bags, 11 cat beds. Once we had all of that stuff all together for her 2 cats, I mean, she completely realized it's just way too much. I mean, it was so much that her cats weren't even getting a chance to enjoy it. So she immediately, we did it together. I'm encouraging you. She stopped her Amazon auto orders of cat food and she saw what she had and she made a pledge not to shop for the cats. They don't need any more stuff, but instead to really commit to spend time with them, to connect with them, to love them. We made, as far as organization goes, we made an entire cat closet for all of her cat stuff. I mean, she had an extra bedroom, so there was no problem with that. And she could visually see a threshold where she could manage. I talk about this a lot, the visual threshold, where if it's bursting out at the seams, you have too much. If you visually can see that the space that you've allocated for something is at its threshold, then you need to either get rid of some things or not put any more into the space, right? So we decided to donate a lot of the older cat toys and actually a lot of the food that her cats are really picky. They didn't like a lot of the food that she had there. So we took it to the local animal shelter and it was so appreciated. And the act of being aware of her cat's need for love and being able to give and receive love with them just really allowed her to make the same decisions for herself with her own stuff. We addressed her self-love act of penance by opening up the new stuff and just saying what she had. I mean, it had been so long that she didn't even know what box was what. So we opened them all up. We discovered what she had. We opened up a new crock pot. So we went and found her older one and we put the old one in the donation pile. Same with dishes. Same with silverware. I mean, girlfriend had so many brand new things in her house. And we basically got rid of all the old stuff and made room for the new. Instead of beating herself up in her head and depriving herself of the goods, she loved herself and she used them. And this kind of felt awkward for her at first, but it really gave her a great deal of self-love to use these items, these wonderful items that she had bought for herself, to feel worthy of using items that she bought herself, even though she wasn't 100% perfect, wasn't completely organized. We were going to go ahead, we were going to be brave, and we started putting things away that were new, things that she could really use and not hold back and deserve, and use them even if they're new. Also, something that she got that she hadn't felt in such a long time was a sense of pride. Okay, a sense of pride. She was no longer shameful. She kept her family dishes, of course, and items that were sentimental, items that are irreplaceable, items that are used often, but items that now were duplicates, she gave away. And collectors, that sense of giving, that sense of sharing her belongings gave her so much love than she ever imagined. Knowing her stuff was going to people who were less fortunate gave her love, and it gave her pride. But most importantly, it gave her space. It gave her room in her home, which she allowed herself to love. And she loved herself even more for actually getting her home together. The sense of love and pride she has in her home now is bountiful. Much, much, much more bountiful than all the stuff that she surrounded herself with before. Allowing her to open up her home and love herself has actually allowed her to open her heart into finding a true love. The loss of the self-loathing and the shame was replaced with love from her cats, from the pride in her home, from the pride in herself. And the movement in her home that she created, the space, the movement that she did while decluttering actually allowed her to shed some weight. So again, she's starting to feel encouraged. She's feeling pride. She's feeling love. And these are things that she has not felt in a really, really long time. Collectors, it's time for you to make a decision. Are you going to continue filling your human need for love by shopping and eating and then feeling bad about it and then soothing yourself and doing it again? Or are you fed up already? Are you tired of being stuck in a pattern that just leaves you feeling hopeless and exhausted? Well, before I end this session, I'd love to leave you with 3 tips to find love in other ways. And please take the time to write them down, even though I covered them in Kathy's story. Tip number 1, identify how you're meeting your human need for love and connection with your clutter. And be real with yourself. Don't sugarcoat it. You're not sharing this with anyone. Write it down. You know, if you buy yourself an entire pizza when you're depressed to feel loved and connected with yourself because you work so much, write it down. If you buy jewelry just to meet the connection with coworkers that are always complimenting you. Do you neglect your cats because you're tired and depressed all the time from working? So instead you buy them all sorts of crap they don't even need in hopes to meet their needs for love and connection. I mean, don't hold back. Write it down and tell how it is to yourself. Call yourself out. This is a form of love. You're connecting with yourself. 1, by identifying whether or not you're meeting the need for love with your stuff, and by being really honest with yourself. That's a form of love. Sugarcoating it and saying, "Oh, well, it's not that bad." That's not loving yourself. Loving yourself is calling yourself out and saying, "Hey, I'm buying these things. I'm saving these things because it gives me, it fills my human need for love and connection." Step 2, declutter. Yes, get rid of stuff. I mean, there is not enough room. I don't know you. I don't know your place. I'm going to tell you right now, there's not enough room. You have too much stuff. You can't just rearrange clutter and expect to be organized. If it's a duplicate, get rid of it. Use the new one. Get rid of the old one. Use the new one. You deserve to use your new stuff. Don't hold back. Don't wait for the perfect time. I mean, what are you saving this for? Honestly, you don't have people over, so you're not saving all this stuff for when you entertain people. Come on. You don't know if you're going to die tomorrow. I hate to be grim. We don't know. Life is uncertain. So why are you saving your stuff for another day? Use your stuff, collectors. Use it or lose it. Seriously, rearranging stuff will only waste your time and make you feel frustrated. You've got to make the space. You've got to get rid of stuff. Which brings me to step number 3. When you get rid of stuff, you allow yourself to meet your need for love by sharing with others. You spread love by giving love, and you get love in return. I mean, this is love without shame. You'll actually feel pride. Pride for giving to others, pride for getting your home back, pride for reclaiming your space. I mean, this is going to continue to bring you more self-love and the love of others, the love from others, if you allow it. So next week, I will be speaking with Cindy Andrews, and we are going to be talking about the human need for growth. We all need to grow. We are either growing or we're dying. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. Click that thumbs up button, the notification bell, leave a comment, and you can also catch me daily on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under Collector Care. And until next time, collectors, remember, happiness is a place between too little and too much.
Now, a short ad break from Clarity Coaching.
Do you feel overwhelmed with clutter? Are you having trouble finding a place to start? Sometimes it's hard to ask for help, especially with all of the judgment and shame out there. What you need is an experienced, non-judgmental guide to help you navigate through your clutter chaos. I'm a guiding force that's going to help you empower yourself so you can live a happier, healthier, more organized life. I will take the time and I'm going to hold the space for you to understand your world, your dreams, your relationships, and your clutter. I do this with no judgment and no other agenda, but to help you achieve what you want most in life. And this, my dear collectors, is something that most people have never experienced. To experience the life that you truly desire, schedule your free Clarity Coaching session today by emailing me at rachel@collectorcare.com. That's rachel@collectorcare.com. Or call me directly. I'm at 925-548-7750. That's in America, so that's area code 1-925-548-7750. Clarity consultations are complimentary for individuals seeking my coaching services, and they're very useful to make sure that we're the right fit for each other. Stop living in chaos and start living the organized life you desire.
This has been Hoardganize with Rachel Seavey. New episodes are available every Sunday at 6 p.m. and also on the Collector Care YouTube channel. Download Rachel's Affirmations for Collectors on iTunes or Amazon.com, or sign up for Rachel's blog at collectorcare.com and receive 7 tips for clutter-free living. Thanks for listening.